Okay, hello everyone and welcome. I'm here to talk about the Community School Standards Assessment, and I'm going to be giving an overview and some strategies for data collection. So for today's agenda, I'm going to be covering a few topics. First, I'm going to give an overview of the Community School Standards. I'm going to provide some strategies for data collection, and then I'll be providing some timeline and next steps for this process. And so hopefully most of you know me by now, but in case you don't, my name's Sarah Stacy, and I'm the project lead for the evaluation of the Flint Community Education Initiative. And so I'm going to be going over specifically the Community School Standards Assessment, how you can use it, why it's important. But I hope that you can reach out to me if you have any questions about this evaluation component or any of the other ones that we're going to be doing throughout the year. And so first I'm going to start off by giving an overview of the community school standards. So the community school standards, most of you probably know this already, so I'm preaching to the choir, but the community school standards are a tool for supporting the implementation and quality improvement of community schools. So it's really a tool for to guide our thinking about what a community school is and provide some strategies for things that a community school can have or maybe should have. And so it also provides a common framework and language for community schools. And what this means is that it really helps us to think about what are those components of a community school, what do we call them, how do we refer to them, and across the country and the globe, people are implementing community schools, and it provides us so we're all speaking the same language of what a community school is. And so the community school standards are divided up into two sections. There's the structures and functions, which really covers the core components of what a community school is, and then some common program elements that most community schools have, but those pieces are a little more flexible. And so if you've looked at the community school standards document, you know that each standard looks somewhat like this. So there is the overall standard, what it means. Each standard then has subcomponents, and then underneath that, it gives you some indicators of what that standard could look like at your school. And so, as you can see here, for just one standard, there's many components of each standard. And just using this document is a good tool, but as far as documenting where your school is at and providing an assessment of that, it can be kind of cumbersome. And so what we've done is worked with some colleagues at the University of Wisconsin-Madison to develop this community school standards assessment, which is a more simplified version of the community school standards. And it provides you a way of answering the questions in the assessment to understand how your school is doing in relation to those standards that are conveyed in this document. And so the purpose of this Community School Standards Assessment, or the CSSA, is it provide a tool for assessing the implementation of community schools to then guide continuous quality improvement at your school. And I think it's really important to underscore that the Community School Standards Assessment is a reflection tool to assess how your school is doing in relation to those standards and to provide a course for planning. It's not meant to be like a punitive assessment. If you're doing bad on the standards, it means you're a bad community school director, or your school is bad. It just means that in relation to those key components of what a community school are, it just means that you have some room for improvement, and it is hopefully providing you a way of a tool for how to improve it. And it's really not supposed to be like a punitive thing. And so to get a really comprehensive understanding of how community schools are being implemented at your school, I think it's important to note that you need to hear from multiple perspectives. And many of you have already heard me say this before, and some of these future slides might be reused from previous trainings that I've given, but you know that the results of whatever survey you're implementing, the results that you get are really the culmination of all of the perspectives that you assess. So, what results you get from a survey is really informed by who you ask. So that's going to be an important theme of this evaluation component and every other evaluation component that we do. And so what the term for how you select who is going to be taking that survey is called sampling. So what is sampling? It's selecting who's going to be participating in the survey or who's going to participate in the CSSA. And again, these are things that I've talked about before, and I don't want to belabor the point too much, but it's important to note that when we're selecting people to participate in a survey, we want random and representative. So, you know, a random person out of a pool, and then we want it to be representative of all the people that could participate. And this allows you to really be more confident that the results you are reporting reflect the overall population. So if you select a random representative pool of people at your school, you can really know that the results reflect the larger school population and not just a select group of perspectives. And also this helps to reduce bias in your surveys. And so, again, these are things that I've talked about before, but what is not thoughtful sampling is this kind of approach of like, you know, I've invited you all to our focus group because you're the easiest track now. And this happens all the time, and it's fine. Like if I were to collect a survey of, you know, how the community school directors feel about Sarah Stacy, I might ask all the people in the room that I know are easy to respond to an email. And that's a strategy that, you know, maybe works sometimes. And if I need to get data really quickly, that might give me a good start. But as we're going forward in our evaluation, we want to be really mindful of this word thoughtful. And we're getting to a place now where we don't need to, you know, collect 1 million surveys all the time and, you know, collect them now and they need to be due yesterday, or like we don't need to work in that space anymore where we're like responding. We're at the place where we're being more thoughtful, and we can really think about, okay, now that I have to collect this data, who am I going to ask to participate in this survey? What's my strategy going to be, rather than like I just need to get it done. Because as we're growing and we're moving forward in this evaluation, that's the kind of space where we want to be, where we're really thoughtful. And so please don't do that. And so just further, why is convenience sampling a problem? Is that it doesn't allow us to have the most available data, and it's not going to be the most informative. And it doesn't capture the full range of experiences, and there's less we can do with that. So if you think about the standards assessment, if you only ask a certain group of people, it's first not going to give you a full scope of how your school is doing. It's not going to capture how everyone at your school feels about the standards and how you're implementing them. And there's going to be less that you can do with those results because they don't capture everyone's experience. And so we want to be mindful of this, of creating a thoughtful and representative sample of people at our school rather than just, you know, a big sample. So this is an example that I've used before, but you know, at school A, you might think, wow, they got 53 surveys. That's great. They're doing great. School B maybe needs to step it up and get more surveys. But if you look at how they collected their data, school A, I mean, they've only got perspectives pretty much from the community partners, and they're really not gathering perspectives from teachers, students, and parents. So maybe they got a good sample of community partners, but when looking at the whole, they didn't really get a good range of experiences at their school. But this school, you can see they've got a good mixture of people's perspectives at their school, and it allows them to really understand how they're doing from a broad range of experiences. And so one thing I want to challenge you this time as we're collecting data is to, rather than just thinking about them as participants, thinking about them as key informants in a survey. And you really want to get those key people that are going to provide you with the best data. You don't want to just get, you know, 50 participants. I need to get, you know, a select sample of really key people that are going to provide me with the best data and the best understanding of community schools at my school, so I can further improve them to make them better. And so some other considerations for collecting data is that it's really critical to get feedback from engaged partners. You want to get people who know the things that are going on at your school, and not just a sample of all the partners. You want to select those that are really critical to get feedback from. We really want to drive home the point that the principal is a really critical partner for you to get their perspective. So really try hard to get their perspective. I know principals are busy, but try your best. And we really want to also mention that students and parents are important voices as well, especially those students and parents that are involved in decision making and involved in spaces where they know about community schools, they know what's going on, where they can really provide you with good feedback. We really want to try to challenge you to get those feedback this time around. So some other strategies, again, I've mentioned some of these before, but just a reminder, when you're collecting data, it's really what we're trying to drive home this year with the evaluation is to just make a thoughtful plan, delegate it, and collect the data. You know, as long as you have a thoughtful plan of I'm going to get, you know, these many community partners, and these are the critical people that I need to ask, and these are students and parents that are really important to ask. As long as you're thoughtful, and then you, that's what we're hoping for. We're not asking for, you know, every community school director to get 50 surveys or every community school director to get 20 surveys. We really want you to think about who are the people that are most important to get perspectives from at your school and ask those people. And also really try to delegate as best as you can. I know that you're kind of the lead person at your school, but it's really helpful if you can delegate those roles because you have so many roles already. We, you know, always say to build in efficiencies. So if you select a group of people that you know you want to get their perspectives, build, you know, collecting the survey data in a meeting you're already having, or if you know you're going to see a certain partner, you know, at this event, you know, ask them there rather than having to forward them emails and, you know, ask them, you know, to do it on their time. Sometimes if you can build efficiencies, it makes things easier for everyone. It's always important to convey what you're doing and why you're doing. So I hope that this video might help you with doing that, to remember, I need you to complete the survey. Here's what it's doing and here's why it's important. Normally people are more apt to complete things for you. Just being kind goes a long way. If you can and have space to provide incentives, that would be great. You know, even if it's just treats at a meeting to say, you know, hey, we're collecting data. I know sometimes this is challenging, but I brought donuts. You know, sometimes that can be helpful. And really returning the results back to the participants is one thing we're trying to drive home this year in the evaluation too, is that when people, you know, give their time and their expertise in a survey or in any kind of evaluation, you want to loop back to those people about, you know, I heard what you were saying and we saw the results, we looked at them, and here are some steps moving forward at my school. So to give you an overview of the timeline, here's what we're looking at. On May 1st, data collection starts. The links are live and you can start collecting data online. We're also going to be providing paper copies as well if that's easier for you. May 31st, data collection is going to end for all schools so we can get started on the reporting. This is really important to try and get all of that survey data in by the 31st so we can, you know, our evaluation team can start working on it on our end, because we can't start you know, processing the data on our end if not all of the data is in. So that's really important to be mindful of that timeline. And then 4 weeks later, you're going to receive the results in 2 different forms. So we have the school memos, which again compare how your school is doing in relation to other schools in the initiative. And then we're also going to be, again, providing the standards data in that dashboard format, which looks at how your school has been doing on the standards over time. And so finally, over the summer, we're going to be doing some data-driven planning to really use the standards data to create a plan for your school, how you can, you know, further improve the initiative at your school. And so here's the link. Again, we're going to be providing this in an email, but I just wanted to have it up here in this video. And here's my contact info again. If you have any questions, if you need anything, please, please, please feel free to reach out to me. I hope I'm responsive to your needs, but if not, we can, you know, make a plan to support you in other ways. And so please reach out to me, reach out to Carrie, Jenny, and Denise too if you have questions. Thank you, everyone.